whether somebody is rich or poor, educated or non-educated, powerful or powerless. In spite of any of those differences, each and every individual has the goal of satisfying the senses to the maximum level that individual is capable of. This was the common practice among the humanity at that time, to satisfy the senses. Kings, merchants, and the workers in a different classes, in a diverse kind of society, had a common purpose. That purpose is to satisfy the senses. Now, among this humanity who were in the pursuit of satisfying the senses, there were few who found the evanescent, the impermanent nature of the sensual pleasures, how they are impermanent, how they are unsatisfying, how fruitless, how vain in the effort of fulfilling these senses. And they were fed up with that. Being fed up with this pursuit of satisfying the five senses, eye, ear, nose, tongue, and the body, they went to the other extreme. That extreme is the other treatment, the different kind of treatment to the body. They thought body is the problem. Body is the one creating all the suffering to us. So the karmic deposit, karmic accumulation that we have generated in our past lives are deposited in this body. So this body must be cleared, this body must be purified from those karmic deposits. How to purify? Just as you clean a dirty cloth with thrashing and squashing, with all sorts of methods, you purify, you clear the dirt out of a cloth. In the same manner, you treat your body in a very painful manner. Yeah. You torment your body. You become violent to your body yourself. Torture your body so that the karmic deposit will start washing away from the body, just as a cloth being cleaned by washing away the dirt. Little by little, more you torture your body, more you will be purified. So they went to the other extreme of the treatment to the body. The first group, or the most popular practice of treatment, was to satisfy the body. The second group, who went against this satisfying the body, they went to the torturing of the body. They are called Atta Kilamatan Yoga, the extreme self-torturing, self-tormentation. So these two extremes were the practice, were the ethical practice for whatever purpose they were aspiring. Yeah. Now, Buddhism was not to be put in any of these extremes. For the Buddha, the body is a useful object, a utensil, useful utensil. If the body is suffering, if the body is in pain, you cannot cultivate the spirituality. So body must be taken care of to a certain well-being, to a certain degree. If the body is in hunger, can you meditate? Can you listen to a Dhamma talk and get the realization? Now there was this incident while the Buddha was living. Once the Buddha came to the Dhamma hall, hundreds of people sitting in front of him, and he observed this audience. Hundreds were there. And he saw one person. He is the one who is capable of understanding his Dhamma, understanding in the sense to open his eyes to the Dhamma, Dhamma Chakku Udapadi, to open his eyes to the Dhamma, or the eye of the Dhamma to arise. Only one person is there, and when Buddha further observes, he found this person is hungry. This person hasn't eaten any food on that day. So he was so hungry. And in that hungry state of his physical body, the Dhamma will not be able to move in. He will not be able to digest the Dhamma in that hunger. So Buddha stopped what he was about to do, to give the talk. He stopped it. And he called Venerable Ananda, his attendant, and asked to get some food for this person. And he postponed the Dhamma talk until this person is to quench his hunger. Buddha did not give the talk. Then only, after he has eaten, he came to the Dhamma hall. Then the Buddha gave the talk. If the body is ailing, if the body is suffering, the Dhamma cannot reach there because it must be balanced. The body and the spirituality, the physicality and the spirituality must be in a balance, in an equilibrium. Then only the goal, the nirvana, the nibbana must be there. So the path of the Buddha, the practical path of the Buddha is a beautiful one. Nobody suffers. Neither you suffers, nor anyone else suffers. It is a beautiful one if there is no one suffering. That is why Buddha is called Sugata, the first reason that he walked on a spiritual path, which is a beautiful one. Now, this is the walking middle path, or the practical middle path, ethical middle path, eightfold noble path, ethical middle path. But there is another middle path for our understanding. We have to know about that. He taught the Dhamma based on the middle path. Not only he practiced, developed his ethicality, developed his spirituality based on the middle path, but also he taught Dhamma based on the middle path. Yeah? We can say his philosophy, Buddha's philosophy. This is the philosophical middle path. That philosophical middle path is the dependent origination. In Pali, Paticca Samuppada. Paticca Samuppada. Now this Paticca Samuppada is in the middle of two extremes of all sorts of religions, heretical religions at that time. How many heretical religions were there? 62. 62 heretical religions before as well as while the Buddha was living in India. So, without being included in any of these heretical teachings, Buddha taught the Dhamma, being away or going beyond these 62 heretical teachings. All these 62 heretical teachings belongs to two extremes. One is eternalism, based on the divine creation. Issara Nimmana Hetu. Somebody says everything is created by a divine being. And this soul which is inside the body is eternal. It is just temporarily in this body, but once you are dead, this soul will go back and join the eternal soul. Eternal soul created you. After death, you go back to the eternalism again, to the eternal soul. This is the first extreme. The second extreme is today we can call them materialists, who reject previous birth and life after death, who reject them. They say, once the death happens, everything is over. You are temporarily here. No need to worry about the future life. No need to think about the past life. No need to worry about doing good or doing bad. Just enjoy this life. They are materialists. Yeah? They deny all sorts of spirituality. So these are the second group. Without getting involved in any of these extremes, Buddha says everything is based on dependence. Everything is dependently arising. All these phenomena in this sentient realm, whatever phenomena you name, all these phenomena are based on some or other cause. A cause is there for an effect to arise. Cause and effect. If there is no cause, the effect cannot be there. So it is dependently arising, dependently originated. And the answer is there. If the misery is dependently originated, you just get rid of this dependency. You just remove. You just extinguish. You just destroy the causes behind your misery. Then you are no miserable anymore. Your misery is gone. So Buddhism, without getting involved into the eternalism or nihilism, in other words, without getting involved into the divine creation or materialism, Buddhism took a standpoint somewhere untouchable to any of those extremes. Going beyond all these extremes, Buddha says everything is dependently arising. Paticca samuppada. Paticca samuppada. So his teaching also, not only his conduct, but also his teaching. His teaching is based on the middle path, or based in the middle point. What is this middle point? Dependent origination. And when someone practices on this dependent origination, he is practicing the ethical middle path. This ethical middle path, we can call them the eightfold noble path, beginning with Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa. This path neither torments yourself nor torment others. It is the bliss, it is the joy for yourself and for others. That path is Samma path. This Samma path is the Buddha's path. Hence, he followed this Samma path, which we call them the beautiful path. We call Buddha Sugata the sublime one. This is the first reason. The second reason for the Buddha to be called Sugata the sublime, he went to the beautiful place. Now, following the beautiful path, he went to the beautiful place. So he is called Sugata. What is this beautiful place? I'm sure you know. We call that place Nibbana, Nibbana, Nirvana. Now, one is desire, one is craving, one is attachment, negation, denial, rejection, or destruction. Destruction of craving is nirvana. Destruction of attachment is nirvana. Destruction of desire is nirvana. If the attachment, if the craving is the cause of our misery, the destruction of craving is the cause of our bliss, of our happiness, of our eternal peace. What is this craving? Craving for what? There are so much of cravings. Craving for sensual pleasures, craving for higher status. If none of these sensual pleasures or higher status are happening, you want to destroy, craving for destruction. Kama tanha, craving for sensual pleasures. Bhava tanha, craving for higher and higher status. And none of these things happening, you don't go higher, your senses are not fulfilled, you want to destroy, craving for vibhava tanha, craving for destruction. Actually, it is the craving for physical body. All what we know is this body. Beyond the body is something we do not know. So, when the body dies, what do we think? I die. But actually, this body is something we borrowed, developed and enhanced with food. This is something borrowed. This is something we don't possess. But all what we know is the body. So our greatest attachment is to the body. Going beyond this body is the nirvana. Buddha says once he was enlightened, sitting under the Bodhi tree, he wanted to express his great joy that he is experiencing after the Nibbana. So there was a paean of joy, a stanza spontaneously arisen in him. Spontaneously arisen in him. He uttered, I'm not going to say the stanza and explain all this, we don't have that much of time. He says, Gahakaraka Dittosi. I saw you, the builder of the house. He compared his body, physical body, to a house. He says, I see you. Who is this person that he is seeing? Who is this entity he is seeing? The Gahakaraka, the builder, the maker of the house. I see you now. You cannot hide from me. Punage hang nakahasi. since I am seeing you, you cannot build a house for me anymore. There is no more houses for me, because Gahakutam Visankitam, I destroyed the pinnacle of the house and came out being liberated. Now I am liberated from the house. So in another sense, Gaha or the house is for the Buddha a prison. A prison. So this body in the Buddha's eyes is a prison. The death is being released from one prison, but rebirth. Just go to another prison. Now, we don't feel this body as a prison. Why? Because this is a moving prison. We can move around. Our limbs are intact. They are working well. So we can move around. We don't feel this body as a prison. One day, in any reason, for any reason, if the body stopped moving, if we cannot move our limbs, like a vegetable on a bed, we are lying down without being able to move at all, completely paralyzed. Then if you can talk, you will say, I am a prisoner in this body. Moving from one body to another, moving from one prison to another is not the beautiful journey in the eyes of the Buddha. No matter what kind of body you gain, divine body, divine physicality, or a human physicality, or an animal physicality, doesn't matter what kind of physical body you get, it is a prison. A prison made out of gold or iron or stone, doesn't matter. It is a prison. You are a prisoner there. So in the Buddha's eyes, wherever you are born, you are moving just into a prison. And it is a suffering. Prison is never a blissful place. It is a suffering. So moving from one prison to another is never a beautiful one. What is the beautiful journey? Moving from prison to the liberation. Going beyond the prison. Liberate never to come back to the prison. The Buddha went to the place called Nirvana, where there is no craving, no attachment, to come back to the body, come back to the physical body. You are absolutely liberated from the physical body. Now we talk about liberation. Liberation for the body, bodily liberation we can call it, or liberation for thinking, religious liberty, thinking liberty, physical liberty. We talk about that. But Buddha's liberation is to liberate from the body, liberate from thinking, free from thinking. Only in the meditation you will know that. How thinking is disturbing you, torturing you. It is all about liberating from, not liberating of in the Buddha's teaching. Liberating from the body. Nirvana is the liberation from the body. Buddha went to that place. Sundaram Thanam Gato. He went to that beautiful place, from the prison to the freedom. Never to come back to the prison again. He went to this beautiful place. Hence, this is the other reason for the Buddha to be called Sugata, the sublime one. This is the second reason. The third reason is Buddha went on a perfect journey. His walk is perfect. Now, Buddha had two walks. We all have these two walks. With the Dhamma, if you are doing something, that is your spiritual walk. Yeah, this is what we are doing with the Dhamma. Our spiritual walk, our sharing of the Dhamma, your listening of the Dhamma, yeah, and helping to share this Dhamma. This is your spiritual walk, enriching the spirituality. The second walk is the physical walk. Physical walk, our walking around. Now, it says that when Buddha is walking, he never looked back over his shoulder. And he never looked around. He wanted to look, if he wants to look at something specifically, he stopped and then watch. No two actions in one moment. When he walks, it is neither too fast nor too slow. And it is so steady. And his gaze is just a few yards ahead, not looking around. Specifically, he never looked back. If he wants to look back, he stopped. There were very rare occasions where the Buddha had to look back. Not he had to, but he just did that. He looked back. Yeah? But very rare. Not because he missed something. No. He just wanted to show some respect or gratitude. For something. That is why he looked back. For example, when he was about to pass away, he was having his last journey in the northern India. When he left Visala, the city called Visala, the city where the Ratana Sutta originated, Visala Mahanuvara, we call it Sinhala, Visala, this great city Visala. When he left the city, at a mountain top, where he could see the city completely, he stopped. And he turned his body completely. We call it Gajavalokana, like an elephant. You know, the elephant cannot look back over his shoulders. His body is too big, bigger than his head. So he cannot look back. So he has to turn like a U-turn. He has to turn completely, absolutely turning must be done to look back. So Buddha turned his body completely and looked back at this great city Vishala and said, Venerable Ananda, he said to this Venerable Ananda, this is my last time I see this beautiful city. Yeah, it was a very touching moment. So there was very rare occasions that he looked back. Now, why this is? This is the way he walked in his spirituality also. If he has got rid of any of the defilements, cankers, kleshas, he does not have any worry whether those defilements will resurrect again, will spring up again, will come back again. Yeah? Or those defilements are perfectly, completely destroyed, removed. Does not have any worry, any fear whether those defilements will rise back. So he never looked back, never researched about those defilements. That is the idea. That is the meaning. That is the quality that the Buddha had for him to be called the Sub. Never research, destroyed defilements, or destroyed them. He had got rid of them completely. So he had this perfect walk, right walk in his spirituality as well as in his physical walk. So he's called the sublime. That is the third reason for the Buddha to be called Sugat. Now comes to the fourth one. He had the right. He had the right. His words, rightly spoken, throughout this 45 years, after his enlightenment, until the moment of his passing away, whatever he said is accurate, is true for eternity. Not only after 2,500 years, after 25 centuries, but for eternity. Nobody can say Buddha's words are wrong, or this what he said those days are wrong today. Nobody can say. So nobody can deny or prove that the Buddha's words wrong in eternity. Whatever the Buddha says remains to be truthful forever. Now, there are four types of wrong speech. You all know these things: musavada, falsehood, lying to deceive others; pisunavacha, those speeches that are harmful to others; malicious speech, we call them malicious speech. Then parusavacha, harsh words. Yeah. Buddha compared the harsh words to an axe. What does the axe do? Cut the trees. Painful to the trees. Buddha said, your harsh words can cut the hearts of others, destroy the hearts of others. Harsh words. Then comes the last one, frivolous talk, sampappalapa, useless talk. Now these talks, what does they do to others or do to yourself? Violence. Nothing else. Being violent to others. In fact, later on, as the karmic consequences, you become violent to yourself. Violence are the outcome of musavada, lying, malicious talk, pisunavacha, harsh words, parusavacha, and sampappalapa, frivolous talk. Buddha basically avoided all sorts of these four violent type of speeches. Now, out of these, musavada, lying is something we have to look further, right? Because truthfulness was the Buddha's utmost character. Not only as the Buddha, but as the unenlightened Bodhisattva. In his samsaric journey, he had many weaknesses. Yeah, as the normal human being. While he's practicing, he had all sorts of weaknesses. Defilements, driven weaknesses. We have weaknesses because we have defilements. We have kleshas. So Bodhisattva, before his enlightenment, he had all sorts of weaknesses. But it says, no matter how many weaknesses the Bodhisattva had, there was one particular virtue. He was always mindful to be preserving. That virtue is truthfulness. He always being truthful. Even at the risk of his own life, he avoided lying. He avoided falsehood. So he always preserved this truthfulness. Not only preserved, but also showed the power of truthfulness to the others. We call it Satchakiriya, an act of truth, an act of truth. There is a Jataka story, birth story, called Vattaka Jataka. Once the Bodhisattva was born as a quail, a baby quail, cannot fly, cannot walk, sitting in the nest, waiting for the food. Parents have gone looking for food. This baby bird is there. Suddenly there was a bushfire, a bonfire. Suddenly the forest around the tree, where this baby quail was existing, living, and the burning, the heat, and the shoot. Now this baby quail is so afraid. He found any other sarana, the refuge for him. Being a bodhisattva, it says he uttered an stanza. He uttered a truthful utterance. Santipakka apatana, santipada avanjana, mata pita cha nikkanta, jati veda patikama. Santipakka apatana. I have feathers, that is true. Apatana, but I cannot fly. Santipada avanjana. I have feet, it's true. Avanjana, but I cannot walk. Mata pita cha nikkanta. My parents also have gone. By the power of this truth, jati veda patikama. May the fire be quenched. May the fire be extinguished. Now this was his utterance of truth and the act of truth as well. Act of truth is the invoking the power of the truth. He was always truthful in his samsaric journey. That power, that energy, that positive energy is with him. And he invoked that positive power of the positive energy with utterance of simple truths. And it says the fire around the tree for number of yards, the fire was extinguished. The tree or the baby quail was not harmed. Now after the enlightenment, now in the Buddhism, the blessing was something needed for the people. But in Buddhism, we don't have something called prayer, asking for something from somebody else. There is no such thing. So instead of praying or invoking the blessings out of some invisible god or goddess, in Buddhism, invoking the blessing out of truth. Today our source of truth is the Buddha's utterance of the Dhamma. After his enlightenment, whatever he taught, whatever he said, is in absolute, infinite truthfulness. As I said before, even after eons, this truthful utterance cannot be denied, cannot proven otherwise by anyone else. So, Buddha's words are in the taste of this truthfulness. After the Buddha's passing away, and also while Buddha was very much alive, The monastics used the technique of invoking the blessing out of the chanting of the Buddha's words and granting that blessing to the laity, to the householders. Even today, after 25 centuries, we are doing that. Yeah? All the Buddha's words were by-hearted, memorized by the immediate students. Then, around 5 centuries after, those words were texted, those words were written down. And after generation to generation, we got this text, we got the Buddha's words. And today, we chant them, and at the end of the chanting, the blessing is invoked. What is the blessing? Etena satchena swati hotu. Etena satchena. By the power, or by this truth, by the power of this truth, by the utterance of the power of this truth, may the blessing happen to you. May you be well and happy. This is our blessing. It is not a prayer. You cannot say it is a prayer. It is completely wrong if you say it is a prayer. It is an invoking blessing out of the truthful utterance of the Buddha. You can imagine 400 incalculable years after his determination to become a perfect Buddha, he was fulfilling the 10 perfections to the ultimatum, and the energy of those wholesome fulfillment of the perfection is something unimaginable for us. With that kind of wholesome energy behind, Buddha tried to propagate his Dhamma, his path to the Nibbana, for 45 years. While he is propagating, he was giving talks for all sorts of different individuals. And all those talks are for our fortune, for the gratitude, for the, I can say, to be thankful for those masters who by-hearted them, and then later on who wrote them down, who texted them. And thanks to them, we have the teachings, the words of the Buddha today. And these words contain that ultimate truth. And when we chant those ultimate truth and get the blessing out of those utterances of ultimate truth, etena satchena swati hotu, for sure we can be blessed by them. Yeah? It is something true. Something true means existential. It is not imaginary. Something existential but invisible to us. Why it is invisible to us? Because our eyes are colored by something called defilements, kleshas. Not that they are not existing, they are existential, they are existing, but we are not ready for them. Our eyes are not ready for them, for we are obstructed of seeing them because of our defilements. So Buddha uttered the perfect truth, absolute truth. And about the truth, if I say something else, Buddha says, truth can wait. Buddha says, don't use your truthful utterance, your truth, to waste it. use the truth for the constructive purposes, not for destructive purposes. It says, Buddha says in the Majjhima Nikaya to Abhayaraja Kumara, Sutta number 68 or something, he says, even though it is a truth, if it is not beneficial to others, I won't say that. Only the truth which is beneficial to others, I say that. Yeah. Buddha says, if the truth is there but the people are not ready to accept it, I will wait for it. So, just because it is a truth, don't use it as a gossip to destroy the characters, the lives of others. Yeah. It is a destructive use of truthfulness. So you can observe this precept of avoiding the lies and being truthful, but for the constructive purposes, to help others. But if you find because of your utterance of truthfulness, or because you are telling truth, you are destroying somebody's character, somebody's life, somebody's family maybe, better avoid that. Truth can wait. Yeah. So Buddha used his utterance of truth as a benefit for others, in a beneficial manner, constructive manner, helpful manner. That truth Buddha uttered helped thousands to overcome the greatest suffering of their lives. The suffering that generate in the samsaric cycle of birth and death, they could overcome because of the utterance of the truth of the Buddha. So with that, let's conclude this talk. Today we talk about the Sugata, the sublime one. Buddha is called Sugata because he walked on a beautiful path, middle path. Because he walked to the beautiful destination we call Nirvana, and he had this perfect walk of his spirituality and in the physical level that he had never had any reason to look back. Those destroyed defilements completely destroyed. He had no any worry or fear about the resurrection of those destroyed defilements. And the fourth reason, the last reason for the Buddha to be called Sugata is Buddha's beautiful speech, which avoided falsehood, malicious words, harsh words, and the frivolous talk. He always uses truthful words. He always sacrificed himself to explain the truth to the others, but in the right occasion, for the right people. He uses that truthfulness in the constructive manner to support, to help others. Hence, we call the Buddha Sugata, the sublime one. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Today, this Dhamma talk is being sponsored by Mr. Nalaka Dias and Mrs. Manori Dias with their daughter, Miss Sairi Dias. Their expectations, aspirations are to dedicate all these merits who passed away 34 years ago, Mr. Gunapala Dias, father of Mr. Nalaka Dias, and Mr. Ramsey Jayasuriya, who passed away 19 years back, who is Mrs. Manori's, the father of Mrs. Manori Dias. Let's dedicate all these merits to these departed Mr. Gunapala Dias and Ramsey Jayasuriya, wherever they are, however they are. If they are expecting to be rejoiced with our merits, if they are suffering, if they are being required for the positive energy to move on to a better life, better existence. May all these merits be a supportive factor for them to be blissful, happy, and peaceful. May their present existences become blissful, happy. May they be enabled to move on to a better existence. May they be rejoiced with all these merits. With these aspirations, let's dedicate merits, saying sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And may all of you be enabled to live this life happily, peacefully, being strong enough to face the trying situations of the life, and to be enabled to move on the spiritual path of the Dhamma, and finally to attain the blissful final emancipation of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sabbe tiyo vivajjantu sabbarogo vinasatu mate bhavattvantarayo sukhi digayuko bhava.
Gandina Pujaye Pujaniyantam Puja Bhajana Muttamam Gandha Gunopetam Etam Kusuma Santatim Pujayami Munindasya Siripada Sarore Punyeni Buddham Gurumena Nena Punyena Metena Chahotu Mokkam Puppam Vilayati Yatai Dhamme Kayo Tatayati Vinasa Bhavam Nana Vimalo Dakhineyo Gunakaro Patigamnatu Bhagava Dakhino Daka Uttamam Adivase Puno Bante Gilana Pachayam Nimam Anukampam Upadaya Patigamnatu Muttama Adivase Puno Bante Sabbam Saddaya Pujitam Anukampam Upadaya Patigamnatu Muttama Cetiyam sabbam sampagane supatittitam saririka dhatu mahabodhim buddha rupam sakalam sada Nidinava sappari vijayam akapatto sabbayutam satta vande tam bodhipadapam imene te mahabodhi lokanatena pujitaham pite namasami bodhiraja namastute ayena vacha cittena pamadena maya katam acchayam kamame bante bhuri panya tathagata ayena vacha cittena pamadena maya katam acchayam kamame dhamma sandittika kalika kayena vacha cittena pamadena maya katam acchayam kamame sangha supatipanna anuttara namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Imam me sutam ekam samayam bhagava Varanasiyam viharati sipatane vigadaye Tatra ko bhagava panchavakkiye bhikkhu amantesi Deme bhikkave anta pappacitena nasevitabba Yochayam kame sukama sukallikanu yogo hino gammo potunjaniko nariyo anatta samhito Yochayam atta kilamatanu yogo dukko anariyo anatta samhito Ete te bhikkhave ubhante anupagamma majjhima patipada tathagatena abhisambuddha ukarani jnana karani upasamaya abhinya sambuddho vajjanyasi ඥානං ච පනමේ දස්සනං උදපාදේ අකුප්පාමේ චේතෝ විමුක්ති අයමන්ති මායාති නත්ති දානි පුනබ්බවෝති ධම්මවෝච භගවා අත්තමනා පංචවක්ඛියා භික්ඛු භගවතෝ වාසිතං අභිනන්දුන්තේ මස්මින් ච පනවෙය්‍යා කරණස්මින් වඤ්ඤමානේ ආයස්මතෝ වන්දඤ්ඤස්ස විරජං පීතබලං ධම්මචක්ඛුං උදපාදේ යං කිංච සමුදය ධම්මං සබ්බන්තං නිරෝධ ධම්මන්ති පවත්ති තේත පන භගවතා ධම්මචක්ඛේ බුම්මා දේවා සත්ත මනුස්සාවේ සුන්නේතං භගවතා වාරාණසියං නිසිපතනේ මිගදායේ අනුත්තරං ධම්මදත්තං පවත්තිතං අප්පතිවත්තියං සමනේන වා බ්‍රාහ්මනේන වා දේවේන වා මාරේන වා බ්‍රහ්මුණා වා කේන චිවා ලෝකස්මින් දේවානං සද්දං සුත්වා චාතුම් මහරාජිකා දේවා සද්ද මනුස්සාවේ සුන්නේතං භගවතා වාරාණසියං නිසිපතනේ මිගදායේ අනුත්තරං ධම්මචක්ඛං පවත්තිතං අප්පතිවත්තියං සමනේන වා බ්‍රාහ්මනේන වා දේවේන වා මාරේන වා බ්‍රහ්මුණා වා කේන චිවා ලෝකස්මින් දේවාතුම් මහරාජිකානං දේවානං සද්දං සුත්වා ධාවතින්සා දේවා සද්ද මනුස්සාවේ සුන්නේතං භගවතා වාරාණසියං නිසිපතනේ මිගදායේ අනුත්තරං ධම්මචක්ඛං පවත්තිතං අප්පතිවත්තියං සමනේන වා බ්‍රාහ්මනේන වා දේවේන වා මාරේන වා බ්‍රහ්මුණා වා කේන චිවා ලෝකස්මින් දේතාවතින්සානං දේවානං සද්දං සුත්වා යාමා දේවා සද්ද මනුස්සාවේ සුන්නේතං භගවතා වාරාණසියං නිසිපතනේ මිගදායේ saddam sutva appamana subha deva satta manussare appamana subhanam devanam saddam sutva supakinnaka deva satta manussare supakinnakanam devanam saddam sutva vehappala deva satta manussare vehappalanam devanam saddam sutva vihadeva satta manussare avihanam devanam saddam sutva tappa deva satta manussare tappanam devanam saddam sutva sudassa deva satta manussare sudassanam devanam saddam sutva sudassi deva satta manussare sudassinam devanam saddam sutva kanittaka deva satta manussare sumritam bhagavata varanasiyam isipatane migadaye anuttaram dhammacakkam bhavattitam appativattiyam samanena va brahmanena va devena va manena va brahmuna va kena jiva lokasmin anena tena muhuttena yava brahma loka sabdo abbukanche ayancha dasa sahassi lokadatu samkampi sampakampi sampavedi appamano chavaro vaso loke paturahosi atikkamma devanam devanubavanti atapo bhagava udanam udanesi anyasi vatabo kondanyo anyasi vatabo kondanyo ayasmato kondanyasya virajam anya kondanyo deva namam ahosi etena satya vajjena sabba dukkam vinassatu etena satya vajjena sabba bhayam vinassatu etena satya vajjena sabba rogo vinassatu iranta santa citta tisarana sarana etta lokantareva bhumma bhumma ca deva gunagana ganam vyavata sabbata ete सच्चेन सुवर्ति होतु खयं विरागं ममतं पनीतं यदज्जगा शक्यमुनि समाहितो न तेन धम्मेन समद्य किञ्चिदं विदम्मे रतनं पनीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवर्ति होतु यं बुद्धसेट्टो परिवन्नये शुचिं समाधिमानन्तरिकन्यमाहु समाधिघातेन समो न विद्यते इदं मे रत्नं पनीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवर्ति होतु ये पुग्गला अट्टशतं वसप्ता चत्वारि एतानि युगानि हन्ति ते दक्षिणेया सुगतस्य शावका एते सुदिन्नानि महत्फलानि दम्पि सङ्गे रत्नं पनीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवर्ति होतु उपयुक्ता मनसा दल्लेन निक्कामिनो गौतमशासनं मे ते पत्तिपत्तामतं विगह्य लब्धा मुदा निष्कृतिं भुञ्जमाना इदम्पि सङ्गे रत्नं पनीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवर्ति होतु यतिन्द्रकीलो पटविंसितोऽसिया चतुर्विवाहे विरसम्पकम्पियो ततोपमं सत्पुरुषं वदामि यो हरियसच्चानि अवेच्य पश्यति इदम्पि सङ्गे रत्नं पनीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवर्ति होतु ये हरियसच्चानि विभावयन्ति गम्भीरपन्येन सुतेसितानि किञ्चापि ते हन्ति कुसत्त्वमत्ता न ते भवम् अट्टमम् आदियन्ति इदम्पि सङ्गे रत्नं पनीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवर्ति होतु सहावस्य दर्शन सम्पदाय दयस्सु धम्मा जयिता भवन्ति सक्काय दिट्टि विचिकित्सितं च शीलब्धतन्वापि यदत्ति किञ्चित् चतुर्पाये च विप्रमुक्तो च विधानानि अबभ्यो गातुम् इदम्पि सङ्गे रत्नं पनीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवर्ति होतु किञ्चापि शोकं मं करोति पापकं कायेन वाचा उदचेतसा वा अपक्वोऽसो तस्य पटिच्चादाय अपब्बतादिष्टपदस्य उत्ता इदम्पि सङ्गे रत्नं पनीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवर्ति होतु प्रदुम्बे यथा पुष्सितज्ञे गिर्माणमासे पटमस्मिन् गिम्ने ततोपमन्दं वरम् अदेशै निब्बानगामिं परमं हिताय इदं विबुद्धे रत्नं पनीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवर्ति होतु वरण्यो वरदो वराहरो अनुत्तरो धम्मवरम् अदेशैतं विबुद्धे रत्नं पनीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवर्ति होतु कीनं पुराणं नवन्नत्ति सम्भवं विरक्तचित्तायति केवलस्मिन् ते कीनबीजा अविरुद्धिच्छन्दा निबन्ति धीरायतायं प्रदीपो इदम्पि सङ्गे रत्नं पनीतं एतेन सच्चेन सुवर्ति होतु अनीतभूतानि समागतानि बुम्मानि वायानि वान्तनिक्के तथागतं देवमनुत्तपूजितं बुद्धं नमस्साम सुवर्ति होतु यानीतभूतानि समागतानि बुम्मानि वायानि वान्तनिक्के तथागतं देवमनुस्सपूजितं धम्मं नमस्साम පවන්නෝ කාමේසු විනය්‍යගේ ධම්මයි ජාතු ගබ්බසෙය්‍යං පුනරේති සත්‍ය වජ්ජේන සොත්තිතේ හෝතු සබ්බදා ඒතේන සත්‍ය වජ්ජේන සොත්තිතේ හෝතු සබ්බදා ඒතේන සත්‍ය වජ්ජේන සොත්තිතේ හෝතු සබ්බදා විවජ්ජන්තු සබ්බ රෝගෝ විනස්සතු මාතේ භවත්වන්තරායෝ සුඛී දීඝායුකෝ භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්ඛන්තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ බුද්ධානුභාවේන සදා සොත්ති භවන්තු තේ භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්ඛන්තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ ධම්මානුභාවේන සදා සොත්ති භවන්තු තේ භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්ඛන්තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ සංඝානුභාවේන සදා සොත්ති භවන්තු තේ එත්තාවතාජ අම්මේහි සම්පදං පුඤ්ඤ සම්පදං සබ්බේ දේවානුමෝදන්තු සබ්බ සම්පත්ති සිද්ධියා එත්තාවතාජ අම්මේහි සම්පදං පුඤ්ඤ සම්පදං සබ්බේ භූතානුමෝදන්තු සබ්බ සම්පත්ති සිද්ධියා එත්තාවතාජ අම්මේහි සම්පදං පුඤ්ඤ සම්පදං සබ්බේ සත්තානුමෝදන්තු සබ්බ සම්පත්ති සිද්ධියා බුම්මට්ඨා දේවානාගා මහින්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිत्वा චිරං රක්ඛන්තු ලෝක සාසනං ආකාශත්තා ච බුම්මට්ඨා දේවානාගා මහින්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිत्वा චිරං රක්ඛන්තු ලෝක සාසනං ආකාශත්තා ච බුම්මට්ඨා දේවානාගා මහින්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිत्वा චිරං රක්ඛන්තු ලෝක සාසනං ඥාතීනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉදම්මේ ඥාතීනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉදම්මේ ඥාතීනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ දේවෝ වර්තතු කාලේන සස්ස සම්පත්ති හෝතු ච පීතෝ භවතු ලෝකෝ ච රාජා භවතු ධම්මිකෝ විනා පුඤ්ඤ කම්මේන මාමේ බාල සමාගමෝ සතං සමාගමෝ හෝතු යාව නිබ්බාන පත්‍ත්‍යාය ධම්මේ පුඤ්ඤං ආසවක්ඛයා වහං හෝතු සම්ප දුක්ඛාපමුච්ඡතු අභිවාදන සීලස්ස නිච්ඡං වද්දාපචායිනෝ චත්තාරෝ ධම්මා වඩ්ඩන්ති ආයුවන්නෝ සුඛං බලං ආයුරාෝග්‍ය සම්පත්ති සබ්බ සම්පත්ති මේවච අතෝ නිබ්බාන සම්පත්ති විනා